One of Donald Trump's sons, Eric, once again conflated the overall economy with the stock market. So now, this is President Donald Trump's son, Eric. On Wednesday, he decided to boast about the Dow Jones stock market. As I said, he said, "The Dow's on fire. You know, the radical left is melting down as we speak, knowing that our economy is roaring back to life. USA, USA, USA." Well, for one, the economy is coming back. That's great. As a leftist, I think it's good when the economy does better. I don't know where they get this idea like that we're rooting for the economy to do poorly, especially since our positions are, hey, we want an economy that serves everyone. And so we like it when people do better. Look, I don't care if rich people do better as long as everybody else does better too. Historically, of course, unfortunately, that's not been the case, especially under the Trump administration, but also, of course, during the Obama administration, the Clinton administration, and basically most presidencies since Ronald Reagan, the working class has been getting shafted. And so I actually do care about that. That said, here we go again with people conflating the stock market, or at least one index in the stock market, to the rest of the economy. Look, here's the thing: a large chunk of the American people do not have stock. They don't own stock, and the regular working class people that do so as a result of mostly 401k retirement plans. And if you were lucky enough to have that retirement plan, well then, okay, this is great news for you, right? Congratulations. But half of all working Americans do not have one of those. And the other problem, of course, is that we have millions of people out of work, over 40 million people that are out of work now. A million every month have filed for unemployment. And so that's disastrous. It's all as a result of the coronavirus. And so you have the fact that Congress has not extended that $600 a week unemployment benefit that has exacerbated this problem. Okay, so a lot of problems here. Okay, in fact, recently I did a story where I referenced a Morning Consult poll, and that poll found that the share of unemployed workers that are unable to cover their basic expenses with unemployment benefits, right, rose to 50% in August. That's an estimated 8.3 million Americans that cannot pay their bills. They can't do it. They can't do it. Additionally, again, 40 million Americans are facing possible eviction. And you've got people that are being evicted as we speak, since there are no longer rental protections. Okay. And yet here's Eric Trump, heir to, the golden toilet man himself. Okay. Bragging about the stock market. And look, I don't know if Donald Trump has a golden toilet. That wouldn't surprise me. Okay. Look, to be fair, I guess it makes sense that Eric Trump is bragging about that. Why? He and his family probably have investments in the stock market. Of course, right? No doubt. So he'll be like, hey, look at that. I'm getting richer. How could you not like that? Well, if you're not sharing in that wealth, well then, yeah, you're not going to like it. I'm just saying. Okay. And look, by the way, the stock market, the gains from the stock market are artificial anyway. I mean, yeah, of course the stock market's going to do better when the Fed pumps trillions of dollars into it in economic stabilization aid. Yeah, they're going to do better, of course. But, well, how is the rest of the country going to do better? It's not. It's not, because the stock market is pretty much divorced from the rest of the economy. When, in the real economy, businesses are closing, people are going hungry, people are going to food banks, they're stretched to their limit, they're losing their homes, jobs are, small businesses are shutting down, they're not bouncing back, even in cases, or I should say in places where it's open, completely and utterly divorced. Okay, there's no correlation here. Okay, and so, but he's gonna, like an idiot, continue to go, oh, stock market, oh, wonderful stock market. Doing great, doing great. Over 80,000 small businesses since from March to the end of July closed their doors for good. Those businesses are not coming back. The jobs are not coming back. Okay. All while billionaires, by the way, saw a big increase. For example, Sheldon Adelson saw his wealth increase by $5 billion during the pandemic. Elon Musk saw an increase of $17.2 million. I'm sorry, $1 billion. Jeff Bezos increased his wealth by $48 billion. In total, in the United States, billionaires have increased their total net worth by $637 billion just during the pandemic. That is enough, by the way, to easily pay for college for every person in this country that wants to go to school. Debt-free college. I'm just saying, if you're already rich, if you have stock, then you're doing great. If you're a regular working class person, chances are you are not doing great. And not only that, but people in upper middle class are also doing pretty good too. And so they're not feeling the pain of regular everyday Americans. And so only a couple of kinds of people will crow about the stock market. And that's, of course, people who don't know how it works, or are duped into thinking that billionaires becoming richer somehow helps them, or the people who are already billionaires or alleged billionaires in the case of Eric and Donald Trump. And so this, of course, conflation that keeps happening over and over again is pissing people off. A lot of outrage online. For example, one person says, do you really think Americans care about the Dow? They care about feeding their families and having a roof over their heads, which again is not happening in this country. People are losing all of those things. Another person says, PSA, the stock market is not the economy. Another person says, tone deaf as usual. Stock market doing well. What does that tell you? It tells you the wealthy have been able to scoop up cheap stocks. Over 57 million people have filed for unemployment since March. Over 1 million people filed last week. Only your pants are on fire. Another person says, once again, Eric, please take an economics course or at least get the basics. The stock market is only one part of measuring the economy. Note our horrible unemployment rate and ballooning deficit, just to name a few. So I like how some people bring up the deficit, right? Because of this point. That deficit is already going to be weaponized, used as a way to, of course, try to prevent any incoming Democratic administration from actually properly doing what we need to do to not only support people as we deal with COVID, right? But also progressive policy. It's a break, right? They're going to use that as a way to basically stop anything positive from happening. And the irony about that, of course, is that most of that money that has gone to the deficit, okay? Well, I should say most of that money that makes up the deficit has gone to corporations, big businesses, banks. And so it didn't go to us. No, we got a $600 a month benefit if you're unemployed on top of, the state benefits and a $1,200 check. Very, very tiny amount of the CARES Act. Very, very tiny amount of the HEROES Act. And by the way, not even a part of the Republican skinny bill. So all that money goes to corporations, not to us. And yet they're going to use that and say, look at that. We already gave all the money to the rich. And so we've got nothing left for healthcare. Oh, man. That sucks. Austerity. You know it's going to happen. We all know it's going to happen. Because that's what always happens. Another person says, oh, look, the graph of rich people's feelings is trending upward as poor people face pandemic death, mass unemployment, and evictions. Seems about right, unfortunately. And then finally, wow, Eric, I thought you were smarter than that. Oh, well, that's your first mistake. Then points out, stock market's not the economy. We have millions of Americans that are looking at being evicted for being behind in rent. Food banks have lines that stretch for miles to try to get food to feed their families, and on and on. And again, here's the thing. Eric and Donald and Don Jr., they're never going to, Mitch McConnell, right? They're never going to understand us. I mean, the Trumps were born with little, almost literal silver spoons in their mouths, right? Or in Donald's case, a golden one, right? And so they've never had to face poverty like the rest of us. They never had to struggle like the rest of us have. And they can't identify with us, and they don't care about us. They don't want to. In reality, this is just another long con that they're using to try to continue to keep power in November so that they can loot the treasury for themselves and their rich buddies.